Morning, welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. I'm gonna move you back a little bit. My dog was in here just a few minutes ago. This is take 3, so let's try this again. Okay, so you have to excuse me, I'm cold, so I'm covered up today, but there's a few subjects today that we're going to touch on. So one thing that I wanted to talk about was that the things we're going to start the first part of January moving into the exercises for realigning our DNA codes and clearing out our error codes, basically. And so we're going to start that the first part of January, but I want to show you a stone that I really encourage you to pick up, put in your repertoire if you don't have it. It's called celestite. It's a light blue, very light blue. I'm trying to show you, it's kind of early here, but it's a light blue, a pale blue stone. This is a very powerful stone. I think it's linked to Sirius B, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. I don't know. That's energetically, that's what I'm getting. I feel like this is a stone from Sirius B. But in other dimensions, this stone is called celestial light. Celestial light. But it's called celestite here. But, you know, most of you probably already have this. And if you don't pick one up and try to get one by January 1st. So when we go through these meditations, some of these meditations, they incorporate this celestite crystal. And it's very powerful. This and the azurite crystal are a couple things that they use in these visualization techniques. So I'd encourage that. Okay, so moving on to the next thing. Benji's he's snoring back here. The birds are going. The dog is snoring. I'll tell you, it's a good day. Okay, so I want to play some information. There's a physicist. His name is Harald Kautz, Harald, and last name Kautz. You got to look him up on YouTube and listen to this talk that he does called Project Camelot. Really interesting, really interesting. I'm going to play a couple snippets out of this because I want you guys to listen to what he has to say about the universe. And then we'll talk a little bit about these scalar grids because, you know, these patterns that we've been talking about, you know, that flash on and flash off, these grids that they make are called scalar grids. Basically this, okay? This is kind of like what the scalar grids look like. Okay. All right. So I'm going to play the snippet from Harold. Hopefully you can hear over Benji. I'll bring the laptop closer to the phone. Okay. So here we go.
Okay. It's better now? Better now. Okay. I'm starting with a big picture. Because we're still struggling among each other whether Darwin was right or the Bible is right. And actually both are. So I'm trying to give you the very big picture of what biology and creation is about, just as a starting point to position ourselves. I'm coming from 5D physics. You know, normal people live in 3D with one timeline, and once you understood life force, the concept of life force or scalar potential, you realize that actually we're living in a higher dimensional thing with layered space-time sheets, and the possibility to ascend by hiring your vibration, you say as a spiritual being, or by hiring scalar potential, this is what you would say as a physicist. So this is a 4D, and if you add kind of the concept of time, you realize that you have different possible timelines in this 4D, building the entire 5D concept as a standing picture. And there's not only one timeline. The concept of time is different than what we perceive. The concept of time is, on one hand, you have this time matter is going through, that is linear, but you have a second time structure that is circular, that is allowing shortcuts between same points of cycles. And these cycles are multi-frequent, going from
vortexes or wormholes,
10,000s of years to nanoseconds. And the nanoseconds is what is building up matter, and the long-range circular structures are building up, repeating history and stuff like this. So this is kind of the time concept, and within this circular motion, on field level, you're not fixed to now. It is possible for a being to travel into the past and into the future and create loops of its own. Like you have the overall loops created by these resonance points over the time within the same points of cycles, but you also can create as a being your own loops and change things. This is why future is not fixed. This is why we create our future, because we have the ability to connect to these dots in the past and in the future, to extract information and introduce information. So this is kind of the overall concept in physics. I'm not doing this in details because it would take hours, just for you to link to it if you're interested to look into it, that you have kind of a hook you can go from. And now within this 5D reality, we have two different types of biology. One is the created being that first exists on astral level as an astral being that comes into an existing biosphere and materializes a body. Normally, if a race like ours is created, an angel comes and materializes himself as the first human. This is why Lucifer and Adam are one and the same person. You can read this from Vedic scripts. You find for Lucifer, you find two translations in Vedic language. One is a male.
So how about that? So the one thing he's saying is that time's not linear. And so the past and the future can be changed with what we're doing today. And then you have the ability to travel to any of these points that are on this grid. These points on this grid, I marked these points on this grid because these are all your lifetimes. They're just linked on a grid, kind of like a CD. It's holographic. So basically, you have access to these in your brain, but our DNA has been monkeyed with, and so it's not all turned on. So, the energy fields have been manipulated. So the codes are running backwards. And so he's saying is that they're overlays, okay? So they're overlays on top. They're like webs on top of webs, right? And that you can access them and change the past and the future. So that's interesting that he says that. And then the other thing he said that Lucifer and Adam are the same person. So we've been talking about this, right? Didn't we just talk about this? The fact that during the Lucifer rebellion, let's see how many thousands of years ago that was. We had the Luciferian rebellion, and then, that's the whole thing with Adam and Eve. We were talking about the caduceus. So maybe that's when technology was, biological technology, parasites, was introduced into the humans. Was when the grid, when they blew a hole in the grid, they, because they wanted to be out from underneath administration. So what a great way. Just think about this like a sci-fi movie, okay? Just think you're watching the sci-fi movie, right? And you're from another place, and you're higher dimensional being, and you're smarter, right? You have all this technology because you've been around millions of years and you know much more stuff. So you find this life, this planet, right? It's beautiful. But the people there, the human beings there, you're going to have to control them because you want to be there. You want to be there because this place is everything. This place is de primo. This is like beachfront. So you just got to get around this one problem. Is these people that are guarding, all the stuff that you need. You need these stargates to get back and forth. You need the resources. You need this, that, and the other. And you've got the ultimate playground package. But you got these pesky people that are humans that are on this earth, and they're from source, You got all administration there. You're having to go to work every day with the board. You're having to work every day with your boss. So, they had to do something. So what a better way to do it than to take these people and these people that are really just avatars, right? Because they're working with their bosses, and you're going into a game console, kind of. Think about it like that. except you have to maintain this. It's like when you're in junior high school, or is it high school, that they had the experiment where you had to bring the baby home and take care of a baby for one day, and it was one of those dolls that cried and stuff. So you got a reality check about what it was to have, casual sex and get pregnant. So, so they would send you home with a crying baby. Does anybody remember that? But I mean, so, basically, if you just introduced a biological parasite into the biological unit container, right? Because the container's not really the important part. It's what's avatar and that's controlling that avatar container, which is the God spark, which is the source spark, the battery. So if you can manipulate the electrical system of the avatar, I mean, that's the vagal nerve. So what would you do? You would introduce a virus, because viruses run up and down the vagal nerve. So does, all of these things, the pandemic, that was a virus that attached to the vagal nerve. Those are all biological. And they're like parasites, because they run on the vagus nerve. So are we just laden with different kinds of parasites? So that's interesting. So let's play the next part.
Genetic prototype, which is identical with Adam, and the other one is Lucifer, the one who brings the light to our race, brings us into existence. So this is how a species is created, as a creational act. And not at the same time, within this 5D realm, our genetic blueprint is projected into the past by these connecting points of same point in cycles. And within this past, aspects of ourselves are forming the biology of this planet. This is why the blueprint of the first simple animal have already like characteristics of our biology, like crossing throat pipes to make it possible to talk. You wouldn't accept that from a crab being evolved like 800 million years ago, but they already have this ability to later speak. And so you can see that basically the concept is coming from the time when the first angel created the first human.
Does anybody remember that cartoon called Martha Speaks, where the dog talked? Well, even Scooby talked. But could you imagine if one day you just came home from work and your dog met you at the door and was like, "Hey, what's up, sister?" Could you imagine? But this is, it's time to open your brain. Don't let your brain fall out. Open your mind. Don't let your mind fall out. But, closed, nothing can get in a closed mind.
The blueprint, the genetic blueprint, is projected into the past, and the biosphere is already created to be there at the point in the timeline when the real creation starts. So this is how biology is forming within our reality or creation. And basically something else happens whenever an angel starts a race. It is like everything to follow is part of him dreaming. This is what we call the matrix. This is something that concerns consciousness. It's not the matter follows, consciousness is there first, and we are kind of all embedded within the consciousness of the angel that created us. And this is what we experience as a matrix.
So the question is who is it?
Just, the theater, the background of where we are in. And from there the story starts to evolve. And the story is that basically these realities, these inhabitation of planets is just made for us to learn. And the way we do learn as beings, this is our design, is trial and error. We're allowed to make mistakes and learn from them, because this is faster evolution than knowing exactly what is right. Other races,
learn by burn.
Earlier races just exactly know what to do, and they just follow this concept and have no other choice. We do have a choice. We do make mistakes. And we learn from these mistakes faster than those old races. New concept of creation. perfect one. In a way perfect, in a different way very unperfect, because of the ability to make mistakes. And the game we are playing to kind of utilize these possibilities is the game you might call fear or love. We always, whenever we come to a decision with its possibilities to choose, it is between fear and love. I can choose love, and I'm going to go the hard way, and this hard way is going to make me higher in vibration, going to add scalar potential to my physics, going to make me grow. And I can choose for fear, and this is going to lower my vibration, and it's going to bring me towards hell. Not because it's bad, because this is how we do learn. And this is repeated, these questions are repeated over and over again until we learn to decide for love, out of our own will. This is the overall concept. Now, I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know where. Something must have happened within the angelic agenda, observing humans choosing fear over and over and over again, going lower in vibration, lower in vibration, lower in vibration, turning this planet into hell. And this was back in a time when they were kind of guiding these games, still offering the choice of evil.
So he says something happened. He doesn't he's not sure what it is. Well, we know that we had the Luciferian rebellion, right? And I think that the other thing was biological warfare on the avatars. The avatars that are here on the planet. And, you know, there's so many agendas, and it's really hard to even wrap your head around, you know, what those are and why worry about them, right? We just have to worry about ourselves. So, I mean, this is just another affirmation here of really what needs to be done. And, you know, these are physicists talking here. These are very smart people. These are not, you know, just some hillbilly person like me, you know, but this guy, he's, you know, confirming the same thing. We are responsible for ourselves. We're responsible for this planet. The government's not responsible for this planet. You know, your neighbor's not responsible. You take responsibility and accountability yourself. You know, see, this is what it's all about. And then as we do that, and everybody's doing that, we all come together. You know, we go back to, all I can say is like the old ways where you had the market square and everybody went to town every day and they got their fruits and vegetables, or you grew your own fruits and vegetables, or you bartered and traded services. You know, that's what's going to be important to bring back the divine mother balance on the planet, because it's so out of balance. So the other thing that he talks about is the substance called black goo. And you guys got to look this guy up and listen to this story, okay? He talks about this substance that he's come across. It comes out of Earth, and it's black substance, and it's a type of oil, and it looks like crude oil. You know, like, you know, what they use to refine crude oil, black oil. He said, but it's separated, somehow that they separated it, and it has intelligence. So it's kind of the way that he describes it. If you've ever seen that movie, Lucy, when she's sitting in that chair and that black stuff starts coming up over her, right? He describes it like that. He said that this scientist had a piece of a marble-sized shape of this black glue in one container, and another container of black goo, of the same black goo. And he said that they were just the same size, about the size of a marble. And he said that when the scientists held it up, that these things responded to each other, that they turned to each other like eyeballs. And then that when he started separating them further apart, that they were trying to get out of the container. They were shaking and vibrating. And he said that there was an intelligence to this. He came in contact with it 3 or 4 different occasions, and he said that there are 2 different types of the substance. He said that when he came in contact with the black goo in one particular area that they were studying it. He said that it had a divine motherly energy to it that was like Gaia, that was earth, and they call it Gaia blood. And it is the divine mother's blood, essence. Okay? All right. He said that he got so emotional when he encountered this substance that he was crying. And he recalls this encounter like I recall, like my near-death experience when I had, when I had an encounter. It's like really emotional. And when I had a family member that came and visited me that was definitely outside of this time continuum, that was in like the absolute realm, he was completely covered in like this gold dust. It was like all around him, this gold dust. And when he got close to me, his energy field was so strong and intense. And man, does it evoke a response. It is like, it's overwhelming. Like, you feel like you want to laugh and cry, and you don't even know. You're so jumbled up. It's the craziest feeling ever. I've experienced it before, and I'm sure a lot of y'all have too. He said that when he encountered this black goo, that it made him feel like that. Now, he also said that, what year was that? He said it was, I can't remember. It was between 94 and 2017, I think it was. He said that some of this black goo fell in a meteor shower, okay? And when they studied that black goo, that it had the opposite effect. He said that he was studying this at a institute, and he said that he got so overcome with like anger and rage. He said that he wanted to be violent. It was provoking like violent responses. This particular black goo that came from this other solar system, our universe. I'm not sure where they were able to pinpoint where exactly these meteors came from that was containing this black goo that fell in here. But the interesting thing is that it fell in the window, this time continuum window that we're talking about in this ascension cycle. So was this a biological weapon that was sent here? Could have come from the moon, right? Now that we know that the moon is basically an installation that's, headquarters for Nibiru. They got the moon installation set up there, Draco pulled it into orbit with using black hole technology, which is pretty freaking clever because, black holes suck everything in. So you just put a black hole in front of it and it'll just pull it. That's pretty smart, huh? That's 5D technology. That's 5D technology. That's what we used to have on this planet before the Luciferian rebellion. And they blew up the grids because they were severing from management, put us in back in the dark ages practically. But, and the other thing was, it was a trauma overlay is what it is. And this is what Harold here is talking about. He's talking about us being given trauma overlays. And we've talked about how we got to get rid of all of this karma and trauma that we've got built up. And see, this is overlays that are put on our genetic line. And he talks a lot about chemtrails, and he also talks a lot about diseases. And he thinks that diseases are demonic. And I do too, because they're parasites. So this is just another affirmation on this whole thing about parasites that I've been reading. This book, it talks about parasites, how they control your mind. He was working on a study about these people that had this certain disease. And this disease, unbelievably, this disease would make these people that had this disease literally forget how to get to the doctor. Is that not crazy? It didn't want these patients to be treated for this illness. This is technology in viruses, folks. it attaches to the vagal nerve, and it goes everywhere it needs to go. This is the whole system of the body. Uses the stomach, uses the vagal nerve to get to the brain. See, we've got this holy trinity in ourselves, right? We got the heart, the brain, and the vagus nerve. And so they all have to work together. They all have to work together, but the whole point here is they're trying to take out the heart equation and just have, you know, us just contained to a whole bunch of, relegated to a bunch of physical responses and stimuli all the time. So we're being dumped with chemicals, you know, from every direction, magnetic, you know, nanoparticles, radiation, everything, right? So this is messing up our electrical system. This is messing up our electrical system. So, you know, this is a lot to think about. It's really interesting stuff, and this guy is fascinating. So, you know, I'm gonna be looking for some of his books pretty shortly. As soon as I finish these other ones, I'm gonna be definitely looking at his work. Fascinating information. So I'd love to hear what you think about that. I mean, that's crazy. So, you know, we definitely, you know, my brother told me it was right. We're living the past, present, and the future all at the same time. But time's not linear. You know, man, I'll tell you, all these things are just coming to pass. It's amazing. It's amazing. And, you know, my grandma told me we were being harvested. So, and she told me Adam lived in a crystal castle. So isn't that something? So that's Lucifer. So Lucifer is Adam. So Lucifer lives in a crystal castle. How about that S? Boy, I tell you, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Man, that is crazy. So yeah, Lucifer's living himself in a crystal castle. And so they materialize here when they want to start their race. So that's basically, you know, that's basically what happened. The Luciferian rebellion. That's what it was. That was this whole Anunnaki, all of this invasion with this stuff that came in through Atlantis, and you know, worked from the inside out. And you know, I want to talk about Lemuria too, because I've been learning a lot of stuff about Lemuria, and I'm really interested in Atlantis because, you know, I think all of us were bad. We were all bad guys in Atlantis. We all had corrupted DNA. And so we all did stupid stuff, really stupid stuff. And I think we were all here around the time of the Greeks, you know, when they had the whole pantheon of gods, and everybody was just signing their soul away because they wanted to be separated from their counterparts so they could have sex too. Because, you know, they're watching all these gods have sex because they come down here and get these bodies, and, you know, they're hermaphrodites. So they're just having all kinds of sun and fun. So, you know, we got, you know, these people are like, hey, you know, what's going on here? You know, and then they're being inbred with all these other genetics. So, I mean, I can only imagine. It'd be like sitting a child at a table that was hungry and eating in front of them. So, yeah, I mean, I can understand these people were desperate. You know, they were probably, you know, it's really hard to think about, you know, what kind of condition that these people must have been in after these cataclysms. I mean, it probably was really bad, really, really bad. I'm sure that you had people that were resorting to all kind of things to survive. So, you know, but we're learning more about it. We're learning more about it. But the whole thing of it is that, you know, by doing what we do today, like you said, by doing what we're doing today, we can change the past and the future because we're creator beings. They just don't want us to know that we're creator beings because they don't want us creating a utopic future, right? Because they don't have control of it. I mean, wake up, folks, wake up. Wake up. I guess I'm going to have to start ending all these videos with, oh my God, we got to wake up. We got to wake up. Everybody wake up, wake up, wake up. And everything needs to be said in times of 3. So wake up, wake up, wake up. So when you come to find me, I'll be here because we're living in the past, present, future, all at the same time. Don't forget to get outside today. Put your feet in the grass. Set your intentions. It's going to be a beautiful day. Give thanks to our Universal Father and Divine Mother, Mother Earth, and her goo. And her goo. You got to look up Harold Kotz and see what he has to say about the goo. I think that it might be the Universal Mother's blood. I think it's fascinating. And, you know, that our disease is demonic. I think so. I think so. So I hope to catch you on the next one. Have a great day. And thanks for watching Sacred Enzyme. Bye-bye.